Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Ozzy here. Welcome to the More Than a Pretty Face podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the More Than a Pretty Face podcast. I'm Dr. Azadeh Shirazi, a board-certified dermatologist and your host. And with me today is Lacie, my co-host.
Hi, everyone.
She is like my everything and anything. She's like... Gosh,
so
how long have
flattered.
we just celebrated an anniversary?
We did.
Yeah.
A long time.
A long time.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do without you.
Same. I really love your shirt. It's so beautiful. You guys, if you're not watching this on YouTube, make sure you do so you can see how pretty her shirt is.
Thank you. You're making me blush. I'm just really into like florals and like bright colors.
Yes.
Finally, it feels like summer in Southern California. We've had the longest stretch of like gray, cold winter like weather. I say
Winter
that,
like, yeah, no, 65 is really cold, you guys.
But when it's cloudy all day, we're not used to it. I'm not going to pay California taxes for Seattle weather.
You know, it's
Seattle
been ridiculous.
had more sun than California this year.
Everywhere has had more sun than California.
The weather's just all messed up.
I hate it.
So, Lacie, what are we getting into today?
Oh, you know, we're keeping it light and fun, and we're talking all things Dr. Ozzy.
Oh, great.
We're
You know how I feel about the tension on me.
I know, but it's going to be fun. We're going to answer your listeners' questions.
I do love answering questions from our listeners. I love hearing from you guys.
Yeah.
So, you have a beauty, a blemish?
Of course.
Yeah?
Of course I do. Well, I traumatized Remy, and that's my beauty.
Traumatized her.
A little childhood trauma in the
Never hurt
right
anybody.
setting.
Yeah.
It helps with growth. We took her to SeaWorld. She loves SeaWorld.
Yeah.
And it was really hot out. And I was sweating. We were all sweating. We wanted to go see the orca show. I said, let's sit in the front row. My husband's like, no. I'm like, yes.
I thought they got rid of the orcas. They still have them?
Yeah, they still have them. Yeah.
Okay.
I know the controversy. I know. I'm sorry, you guys. Don't hate me. I went to SeaWorld.
Okay.
And so we sat in the front row, and I told Remy that she would get wet.
Oh.
And she understood, but I don't think she really understood.
Yeah.
And that orca came around and just
splashed her.
We were soaked. This little girl, traumatized, screaming, crying.
What? I would have been traumatized.
I want to go home.
Oh,
I have pictures. I'm going to have to show you guys.
Yes. So
that's my beauty.
That's your beauty. Okay. I was going to say, do you have a blemish? I'm afraid to ask.
Yes.
How bad is the blemish?
Oh, it's just a little lash emergency. No big
emergency.
deal.
Uh-oh, what'd you do?
It wasn't me personally. It was my best friend. She got hooked into a TikTok ad for some lash serum.
Oh, yeah, those are popular.
Oh, she used it and had a severe reaction. Like, her whole eyes were just swollen red, goopy.
I've seen that.
Oh,
I know. You got to be careful, guys, with the lash serums that are over the counter. The ones that actually work usually have an ingredient that's a prostaglandin analog. And that prostaglandin analog is what actually stimulates thicker, longer lashes. Well, the only FDA approved prostaglandin analog is Lacie. Now, the reason I say be careful with over-the-counter is because these are sort of similar to that, but if there's any potential side effects or anything like that, they're not regulated. And Allergan, who makes Lacie, has tried to shut down a lot of these companies because they had to go through this extensive, lengthy process of getting approved. But now these companies are sort of, secretly putting this in their lash serums. Well, new data has actually shown that not only prostaglandin analogs can change potentially the color of your eyes, but they can also cause pigmentation around your eyes. They can cause fat loss around your eyes that could make your eyes look more aged. So even though you're not getting it in the eye, like, the eyelid skin is very thin. And products and ingredients actually absorb 100 times more around the eyes than they would like on your normal skin, because it's just going to penetrate much more effectively. So be really cautious. And if you do have a reaction like this, most likely it's a contact allergy due to a preservative. So it's not really the prostaglandin analog that caused it, but it may have been like a preservative. And the most common preservative that can cause reactions is benzalkonium. And so look for that ingredient. That's a preservative that causes the most allergies around the eyes.
Yeah, I told her to stop and
Yeah,
see her
that's
doctor
good.
ASAP.
Yeah, see your doctor. And, always go for FDA approved, because otherwise you don't know what the potential side effects could be long term.
But a lot of times we do see patients in the office with contact dermatitis or like an allergy around the eyes, even from falsies, the fake
Yes,
eyelashes.
because the adhesives. Yeah, just leave your eyelashes alone. I mean, some of the best things to help grow your eyelashes would be, things like castor oil that helps coat the lash and helps protect the lash. And I don't think it stimulates lash growth, but some people really swear by it. I know that there was a recent article in Vogue that talked about castor oil and a lot of people's experience with it. But that is something natural. If you're looking for something that's not, drug induced, that's something that helps nourish your eyelashes, if you will, even though it doesn't stimulate them. The only really solution that stimulates lash growth is Lacie, which is prescription through your doctor's office. But I know there are all these other lash serums, like Grande Lash is one. Actually, I just received a product from them that I'm testing out. But nevertheless, I'm still a little bit wary of lash serums because I'm not sure what the long-term effects are. But definitely stay away from things like, I hate to say this because they're so popular, the lash lifts and the what is a permanent,
the laminating and all of that.
Yeah, where the people come in and it's so hard to put eye covers on them. They come into the office, they've got these 3D lashes, and my sister has them and she loves them, and I could see the convenience because you always look great. But after a while, they can take a toll on your natural lashes, and you could develop a sensitivity to the adhesive that's used to glue it onto your natural lashes.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. You know me and my eye phobia.
Yeah, you can also slug it. You can slug your lashes with Vaseline or Aquaphor. I have actually a video on this on Instagram if you guys want to go check it out. But you curl your lashes with a little Vaseline overnight, and it sort of helps maintain the shape of your curl.
Yeah.
Because it forms a sealant around the lash hair.
As long as you don't sleep on your face.
Yeah, that's true. And if you're prone to milia, guys, slugging around your eyes can make milia worse. We need to do an episode on milia.
Yeah.
Because I get so many questions on these little white bumps that people get, and they're hard, and you try to get them out and you can't. So, yeah, I need to make a video on how to remove them.
Well, how about you?
Anyways, moving on.
Do you have a beauty and a blemish?
My beauty is I got to go to Wimbledon with my family, which was really, really special. I'm all into like experiences as I've gotten older. I want less sort of material things and more investing in experiences. And so it rained, but it was still magical. I got to see Alcaraz, which is this tennis player, and he's just incredible. So it was just majestic to see like the grass, them playing on grass, because it's so different. It's so unique, and everybody gets dressed up, and like there's just this energy about that venue. So that was really cool. That was my beauty. But on the way back from London, you will not believe what happened.
I'm nervous. Did you miss your flight again?
No, thank goodness. It was not that bad. But as the stewardess gets midway through the flight, the stewardess gets on the intercom and says, "Is there a doctor on the plane? There's an emergency."
No.
And so I'm like, So I'm like going up. I'm like being a good citizen. It's literally happening in front of me, like 2 rows in front of me.
What was happening?
And so I'm like, how can I help? Her skin looks great. And I see my husband, who's a cardiologist, giving me the side eye, like, sit down. His favorite phrase to say is, just stick with dermatology.
Yeah.
Just stick to dermatology, because he knows that I'm like so passionate and so know so much about dermatology. He's like, your brain has nothing left in it other than dermatology.
And
So
construction,
anyway,
if you guys have listened to
he
previous
was
episodes.
like, whoo, is there a doctor here? He was just looking around. He's like, I have nothing to do with this. So yeah, her skin looked great, and luckily across from me was an EMT. I was like, this person is a much better fit to help you
Yes.
guys. This is dermatology. All I can say is no. No, but you do have to be careful. The reason he was giving me the side eye is because as physicians, even though you have the best of intentions and being a good citizen, you have to be really careful, because if something were to go wrong, and if it's anything serious and medical, I might do something that, wasn't.
For all license, like
Yeah, for
even
all
me,
licenses,
I get
yeah.
nervous when something like that happens, because
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to
So,
help. It's in me to help, but
yeah, you have to be careful.
nowadays,
Nowadays, yeah, you
it's
don't want to get
not.
in trouble with that.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was my blemish.
So
what are
anyway,
we?
they survived.
Oh, we survived,
They
yeah.
were fine.
It made it eventful.
Yeah.
So guys, before we move into Ask Dr. Ozzy, I want to just point out that we covered so much ground on how to build a skincare regimen, and had this amazing masterclass on the previous 2 episodes. So if you missed out,
Yes.
go and check it out on how to put together a skincare regimen.
Yes, you I can't believe you missed it if you missed it. Jeez. Are you really a listener? All right, let's
So,
jump in it, you guys. So, we're here for you. You guys have any questions, need guidance, we love to support our community. So please email us your questions at morethanaprettyfacepodcast@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Instagram at morethanaprettyfacepodcast. We love answering your questions on the podcast.
yeah, be sure to follow us on Instagram, because we do a lot of giveaways, skincare giveaways.
Yes.
All right. So what do you have, Lacie? What's the first question?
The first question is
Uh-huh.
Kyla, I'm sorry.
Kyla.
It's from Kyla. And she said, Dr. Ozzy, you and your family look so lovely on Instagram. I love to see what you do on the weekends. We know how you met your husband at work, but can you give advice on dating?
Oh boy, it's been a
And
while.
yeah. And what is your advice on having a strong relationship? Ooh.
Yeah, so dating seems so long ago. Actually, I
How
was just
long?
talking 17 and no, 19 years. I'm so
Wow.
old, you guys. It makes me feel so old saying that. I was actually talking to my daughter about this boyfriend I had who was a triathlon, and she was like, "What?
You had a
You
boyfriend?
had been with anyone but my dad?" She was just like shocked that I
Aw.
like actually had a dating life before her dad. But yeah, my husband and I, for those of you who may not know, we met at the hospital over a patient who was having a heart attack. He was the cardiologist on call, and I had literally just finished med school 2 weeks prior. I think it was like to the day, it was mid-July, because I was a new intern, and it was my first night on call. I had this guy who was having a heart attack, like ST elevation on the EKG. I was panicked. I paged him so much, like several times, didn't respond. He shows up the next morning. I had been up all night. I'm like, yeah, this guy's having a heart attack. Like, what do I do? Da da da. And he's like looking at me, and I can tell he's like checking me out. And he's like, what do you mean? Do nothing. He's like 94. He doesn't want anything done. He's like, da da da. I'm like, this guy is so arrogant. He's like, well, why do you care about the EKG? You're going into dermatology. It's like, you shouldn't really be concerned with the EKG. And I was like, this guy is
Stick to dermatology.
stick to dermatology. This guy is so arrogant. Like, he is so pompous, and he's telling me about, oh, well, my EKG looks worse than this when I'm lifting weights at the gym, or something like very like masculine or something like that, crude. And I was like, oh, so cocky. But I was like, oh my God, he's so hot. He probably is married, and he probably has this gorgeous wife, and he's probably not on the market, because at that point I was in my 20s, but I really wanted to get married. I was like so ready. I was done with med school, and all the guys that I dated, it just wouldn't work out. And it just makes you feel so bad about yourself when you're into this guy and it's just like, it ends. And so I was so over the dating world. But we didn't actually end up dating until months later. We met again in the emergency room. And then that's when he asked me out. He was like, yeah, so, I'm going out with a bunch of my friends. We're going to go to this cool place and this and that. Of course, we show up. There's like one other couple. So anyway, so that's how we met. In terms of relationships, it's hard, I have to say. We may look perfect on Instagram, but just remember, Instagram is so skewed. You only see people's best pictures, and you have no idea how hard relationships may be or what relationships may be going through. But I think it's really important to find someone that you share the same values with, because marriage, it becomes a partnership, and it becomes something that, especially if you want to have kids, it makes things complicated. So I think having the same values, the same goals, the more you have in common with them, the better that you're going to be together. And, and I always say, you're in for the long run. They're not going to be a perfect person, and you're not a perfect person. So it's important to compromise, because otherwise you're just never going to be happy. You're always going to be seeking the unfathomable, which is a perfect human being. And then never go to bed angry at each other. So that would be sort of you always want, because I don't think it's healthy. And, I think the other thing is, when you meet, and I experienced this, and I'm sure you can tell me what you think, but you meet someone and you think everything's going well, and then boom, it's like they're gone, right? They don't, like, they just leave you hanging. It makes you feel so bad. But that person's light has to be on. Like, it's not you, it's just where they are in life. And if you have to find that person that you're compatible with, but you both have to have your lights on. Because as soon as we met, like within 6 months, we were engaged and I was getting married. Like, it was like really fast. But before then, it was, a lot of relationships that just wouldn't pan out. But I was so focused on my career and my studying that I wasn't really that into guys.
Yeah. I like the saying where they say the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's where you water it.
It's where you water it. It's true. Relationships are work, and there's so much now, once you enter a marriage, then you have to put effort into that marriage, and you have to put effort into your kids and yourself and your career. And so it's, it's a lot to balance. But I hope that answered and helped with some of the talking points.
That was good. All right, from Farah, she said, you're always on my For Your page. How do you have the time to create so much content? Are you doing it on the weekends? Can you tell us your routines, morning, night, work, etc.? What does it take to be successful like you?
Oh my goodness.
Tell us your secrets.
Oh.
Tell us your ways.
Sometimes I have no idea how I'm doing this.
This is true.
Sometimes I sit at the end of the day, I'm like, how am I doing this? How am I surviving? No, I think, in terms of work and your career, there's really 3 things from me. Number 1 is passion. Like, you have to be passionate about whatever it is that you're embarking on, whether it's medicine or whatever field you're business, finance, whatever it might be. You have to have that passion in order to have the drive to want to work as hard as I feel like I work.
Yeah.
Number 2 is persistence and perseverance, because you really have to be consistent. It's not going to be an easy road. Not every video I make does well. Not every patient I treat gets amazing results. And so you just have to keep moving and creating, and really just learn from your mistakes. And if something didn't do well, don't let that deter you of not continuing to work hard at your goal. And then number 3 is self-confidence, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one's going to believe in you. And I'm a firm believer of affirmations, like whatever you think is going to become your reality. And actually,
I like that.
These 3 things have been with me since I think I was 15. I used to daydream. Did you ever daydream?
Yeah, of course.
I would literally one of my favorite activities, and I've been doing this for decades, is daydreaming. Actually, envisioning what I want, something like, what is my utopia? What does that look like? Whether it's daydreaming about a boy, a kind of guy I wanted to meet and marry, whether it was like a career, and everything that I've envisioned to date has come true. Like, this is how I envision my life, my whole
Aw.
life. And I feel like sometimes I have to stop and be like, this is, I've arrived. Like, this is like
Aw. That's
what
so
I've, yeah.
cute.
But it's not easy. You see me, and you're like, oh, overnight success. She blew up on TikTok and now she's, no, I've been working at this for decades, not just 2 years or 5 years. It's been 10 years, 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
30 years. Some of the information, some of the things that I create is from, years and years in the making. And that's what you don't get, that behind the scenes that you don't get on Instagram. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
be really careful, because when you go on there, it's like, oh my God, this person is doing so much better than me in life. They're already married and they're like, oh, they've met this perfect guy and they've had these perfect children. And, like you said, me and my husband look so perfect, all these things that you see, you don't know the behind the scenes. So take that with a grain of salt. Just know that nobody is really sharing the struggles, that they're going through.
It's just a
So
highlight reel.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. So that's career, and I guess I would say for personal success, because there's both,
There
right?
is, yes.
I know a lot of people that are really successful at their career, but complete failures in personal life. And what good is that? Like, you can have all the money, all the fame in the world, but what does that even mean if your
Mm.
personal life isn't as fulfilling, right? Because at the end of the
Right.
day, you really want to invest in both. So personally, I think three things. Number one is gratitude. I really believe that the happiest people are the ones that look at their life and they count their blessings. Like, just simple things like being able to get out of your bed and walk to your bathroom.
Oh, yeah. The little things we take
The
for
little
granted.
things you take for granted. I've had friends that had tragedies happen to them, and overnight you lose little things that you've taken for granted. So be really cautious. And then one of the things that I do with my children when I drive them to work in the morning is we sit in the car, and no one's allowed to have phones in the car ever. That's a rule. And we say, okay, you tell me three things that you're, grateful for today. And I make them list it. It could be like, oh, I got to have kebab and rice for breakfast, which is like what my son loves to have, or, might say I got new sunglasses, and I tell them, that is a privilege. Like, not a lot of people are able to have that. So I think it's always important to really take things that you have seriously, and look on, the gratitude.
And you're
So
driving them to school, not work, right? Are they working at their age?
no, no, not yet. But they're actually, well, my daughter works at the practice
Oh, well,
sometimes.
yeah, that's true. That is true.
So that would be number two. And then this episode is sponsored by AziMD Skincare, but is dedicated to our amazing patients and customers. You are glowing. My favorite thing is seeing you submit your glowing photos, seeing your skin change, your confidence boost. It's why I do what I do, and our reviews online speak for themselves.
We just got an amazing 5-star review on our acne regimen for sensitive skin. She wrote, "It's a must. These products have calmed down redness and bumps due to rosacea. I wish I had taken a before and after, but I was skeptical about seeing results as nothing really worked before. If you're looking for great products that work perfectly with sensitive skin, I highly recommend. I'm super happy."
So you can submit your before and after photos and your product reviews online and receive a $25 AziMD Skincare credit. Click the Share Your Skincare Story on the banner and the main page of AziMDskincare.com and fill out the form. You must include your photos for your before and after. Thanks again, guys, for all your support and listenership. Until next time. Number two is, invest in yourself. It doesn't matter if you are 50 or 20. do something that is going to make you better, like whether it's taking a yoga class or, starting a gym membership, learning a new language, whatever it might be, always invest in yourself.
What about getting Botox?
Yeah, invest in yourself. If that is whatever it might be, just invest in yourself so that you become a better version
I love it.
of yourself. And then the last thing is don't be afraid to, change, move, or you change relationships. Change is always really hard, and that fear, I feel like, really holds you back. So never be afraid to change.
Change is growth.
Change is growth. That is true.
How do you, in all of that, fit in your content?
Oh, yeah, we did skip that question. Okay, so content creation happens 24/7. Sometimes
24/7.
well, my content is based on my real life. They say like life imitates art and art imitates life, or whatever that saying goes. So if I see a patient in the office and they made these retinol mistakes, I'm going to say, you know what? There's probably so many more people out there that are making these same mistakes. So I'm going to create a video on this topic. Or I have a really cool case that I did in the office, and we videotape it, and I want to show it to the world and let them know that this can be done, and educate them on dermatology and lasers and procedures. So I usually have one day a week where I dedicate to creating content, but sometimes I'm creating content at 3 a.m. Sometimes it's, 5 p.m. on a Friday. Sometimes it's 6 a.m. on a Wednesday. I just fit it in where I can fit it in. And some of it is just, on the whim, and a lot of it is passion driven. And I tried to have somebody do my social media, and the reason it wouldn't work is because of how I'm built, right? In order to be a creator, you have to have that passion, that drive has to be in the moment. You have to, it has to be you. And this is just me. And so sometimes I'll be really excited about a few topics, so I'll just put out a bunch of videos. It is hard. It is not easy. And if you're starting out, I started like years ago, but probably one of the hardest things that I've conquered is being in front of a camera.
You've come a long way.
A long way.
Yes.
It's hardest thing for me to be somebody in the public eye, because anything you do, it's like, people want to come out and kill you, and they never look at the great things you put out. But one bad thing, you say one bad thing, it gets like mistaken for something terrible, and next thing you know, you're like a devil, and that's really hard to take, I have to say.
But you do so well. You really
I
do.
guess I still don't want to know. I don't see myself as this like influencer and this person that a lot of people knows, because I don't want that to affect who I am, So it's still uncomfortable when people come in, they're like, you know what I mean.
When you first started, it would be like, what do you think of this video? What do you think of this picture? What do you think of this? And now you're just like rock star.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it that. Probably because I don't have time to ask you.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but I have to say, after saying everything that I've said about content creation, my first job is being a dermatologist for my patients.
Absolutely.
And you will see, if you ever come see me as a patient, there's no cameras around. There's nobody following me around the office taking videos, I am doing this literally on my time off, because when I'm in the office, I'm focused on my patients, on the care that I'm delivering, and really them. And I never, ever want to put social media or content creation ever, in front of that. So that is like one thing that I've always promised myself, to have patient comes first, always.
Yes. And if there is a cameraman following her around, it's me.
And we always ask for permission. Patient privacy is really important to me.
Absolutely.
And it is a right, and not everybody wants to be on my page. It's so funny because some people are like, oh, you're going to record me? They get so excited, like they want to be on there. Oh, I thought you would never ask. And then there's certainly those people that are, hesitant of any pictures we take of them, because they're worried that it's going to end up online. But we always tell them, like, we have a very secure system, and we do take photos, but only if we ask you and show you that we, publish them ever.
Yes. Okay, so this was a comment on Instagram, but we all want to know the answer. They wrote, I love your outfit. Where do you shop?
Oh, yeah, that is a common one we
Give
get.
us a lesson.
So I love fashion, beauty, skincare, and I've always loved like putting outfits together. So I would say one of my favorite places is Zara, especially for work clothes, because I feel like they're pretty good quality. They're usually like on the trend, and I love mixing up Zara with like more higher end like designer brands. And so that would be one. The other one is I love Zimmerman is some of my favorite designers. I think this is Dolce and Gabbana. I just love feminine product or feminine clothing wear. But I do like the masculine stuff sometimes too. And some other places would be like Net-a-Porter. And then I'm gonna let you guys in on a secret. So Net-a-Porter has this parent company. It's called the Outnet, and it's like 70% off of all the Net-a-Porter stuff that's usually really expensive.
I
So
love it.
Outnet, there's a couple of other vendors like Farfetch and My Teresa or other ones. They deliver so fast. I think they're based in Europe, but like I order it, like 2 days later it's there. You're like, whoa, how did it get here from Poland? So yeah, so those would be my go-to, I guess, places.
I love it. I literally love your style, so I'm glad that somebody brought that up so
Yeah,
I could
it's fun. I
ask.
love I love getting dressed up in the morning and like putting on different outfits. So hopefully that
Well, you guys,
shows.
if you like this segment and you want to know or learn more about Dr. Ozzy, don't forget to email us at morethanaprettyfacepodcast@gmail.com or send us a DM on Instagram at morethanaprettyfacepodcast. We love hearing from you and hope you found this episode valuable.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Your listenership and subscriptionship means the world to me. Without you guys, I would not even be here. So you are what keeps the podcast going. If you find this podcast valuable, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe and share it with a friend because sharing is caring.
Yes.
Until next time, thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.